Let me ask you something honest. When is the last time your eye doctor looked you in the face and said, "Here is exactly what is happening inside your eye right now, and here is what you can do about it at home today"? I'm guessing the answer is never. Instead, you got a new prescription, maybe a sample bottle of eye drops and a handshake on the way out the door. Now, I am not here to bash doctors. I am a doctor. I get it. Appointments are 12 minutes long, but that 12-minute window is why you are here watching this. Because nobody has ever sat you down and walked you through what research suggests may be affecting your vision after 60. And more importantly, what one tiny seed sitting in every grocery store in America may be able to nutritionally support. And no, it is not a carrot. It is not kale. It is not whatever the health influencers are pushing this week. By the end of this video, you will understand the biological processes researchers associate with declining eye health after 60, why conventional drops are limited in what they can address, and the seed-based nutritional approach that works at the cellular level in a way that most people over 60 have never been told about. Before we continue, tell me your name and where you're watching from. I read every comment, and I'd love to know who I'm helping today. Stay with me. This one is important. Here is something researchers have documented that almost no one outside of biochemistry circles talks about. Starting in your 6th decade of life, your eye begins losing a critical protective compound at a rate your body cannot naturally keep up with. Not slowly, not in a way your body compensates for. A measurable accelerating decline that research published in Amino Acids by Sternberg and Kunze in 1999 first brought to wide attention, showing carnosine-related compounds fall by more than half across the lifespan in tissues that depend on them most. The compound is called acetylcarnosine. You have probably never heard of it, and that is exactly the problem. Acetylcarnosine is a dipeptide, basically a tiny protein building block that exists almost exclusively in the aqueous humor of your eye. That is the clear fluid that fills the space between your cornea and your lens. Think of it like the cleaning fluid your eye uses to keep its own internal mechanics flushed, lubricated, and clear. When acetylcarnosine levels are healthy, that fluid does its job beautifully. It neutralizes oxidative damage. It keeps the proteins inside your lens properly organized, lined up like well-stacked bookshelves, so light can pass through cleanly. But when those levels drop, which they do every single year after 60, something called cross-linking begins. The proteins inside your lens start bonding to each other in ways they should never bond. They clump, they tangle, they scatter incoming light instead of focusing it. That is not a metaphor. That is the actual structural event behind cataracts, behind progressive blur, behind the haze that makes everything look like you are watching the world through a dirty windshield. And here is what makes this maddening. The standard eye drop, the one your doctor hands you, the one you have been buying over the counter, is primarily designed to address the surface of your eye, the cornea, the tear film, the outer layer. But the structural changes researchers associate with age-related vision decline are happening deeper inside the lens, inside the aqueous humor. And the anatomy of your eye means standard surface drops have significant limitations in reaching those interior structures. They address comfort. They do not address what is happening structurally inside. So you have been faithfully applying drops twice a day and feeling mildly better for 20 minutes, and then wondering why your optometrist's notes keep saying progressing. Nobody explained the geography. Now let me walk you through what the research suggests and why one small seed may change the nutritional equation for your eyes. In 2009, a research team led by biochemist Enrio Rizzarelli published a landmark study in the American Chemical Society journal Biochemistry that barely made the news because it did not involve a drug. So nobody had a financial reason to promote it. They exposed healthy lens tissue to conditions that replicate the protein damage of aging and found something remarkable. In those laboratory conditions, the presence of carnosine not only appeared to prevent the main structural protein in the lens, alpha-crystalline, from forming the abnormal clumps associated with cataracts, it also appeared to help disassemble clumps that had already formed, with some tissue samples showing restored lens transparency after clouding had already begun. Let me translate that into plain English. In that laboratory setting, lenses that had already started going cloudy showed signs of clearing, not just stopped getting worse. The researchers observed actual changes toward greater clarity. Now, these were tissue culture results, not human clinical trials. So, we need to hold that appropriately. But the mechanism documented is real, and it is the foundation for why this nutritional approach is so interesting to researchers. Now, here is the part that connects directly to what you are going to eat this week. That same carnosine protection mechanism your lens depends on runs on fuel, and the two nutrients that supply that fuel most directly are gamma-tocopherol, a form of vitamin E, and a plant lignin called sesamin. Think of it this way. Carnosine is the shield, and sesamin-amplified vitamin E is what keeps the shield charged. Sesamin acts as a natural amplifier of vitamin E activity in your tissue. Published research has documented that sesamin inhibits the liver enzyme responsible for breaking down vitamin E, effectively extending how long and how powerfully vitamin E operates inside your body, including inside your ocular tissue. The richest dietary source of both sesamin and gamma-tocopherol together is not a pharmaceutical. It is not a supplement costing $60 a month. It is a seed, a tiny flat golden brown seed that most people have sitting in their pantry right now, using only as a topping for bread. Sesame seeds, but, and this is critical, not the sesame seeds you are currently eating. The preparation method almost everyone uses may significantly reduce the very compounds that make them nutritionally valuable, and I am going to show you exactly how to fix that in a few minutes. Before we get there though, I need to walk you through the full picture because sesame alone is powerful nutritionally, but it is only the beginning. There are 5 other seeds that address other biological mechanisms researchers associate with vision health that sesame cannot touch, and I have ranked all 6 from the most limited to the most nutritionally compelling, so you know precisely where to invest your energy. Let us start from the bottom. Seed number 6. Poppy seeds. Baseline support. Do not rely on these alone. Poppy seeds appear on almost every eye health list, and the reason is zinc. 1 tablespoon of poppy seeds contains about 0.9 microliters of zinc, a mineral your retina needs in higher concentrations than almost any other tissue in your body. The problem? That number assumes 100% absorption. In reality, raw poppy seeds are coated in phytic acid, an anti-nutrient that binds to zinc in your digestive tract and escorts it straight out of your body. Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health identifies phytic acid in seeds and grains as one of the primary inhibitors of zinc and iron absorption, and studies suggest you are absorbing as little as 30 to 40% of what the label promises. The fix is dead simple. Soak poppy seeds in warm water for 6 to 8 hours before using them. The phytic acid breaks down. Zinc absorption jumps. Then, sprinkle them over yogurt or oatmeal and eat them within an hour. Do not cook them after soaking. Heat after hydration degrades the zinc further. Even corrected, poppy seeds are nutritional maintenance, not a therapeutic intervention. On their own, they are unlikely to meaningfully address existing structural eye changes. Think of them as foundational support, not a frontline strategy. Seed number 5. Black sesame seeds. Underrated. Almost nobody prepares these correctly. Here is where it starts getting interesting. Most people know about regular sesame seeds, white or tan, the ones on burger buns. Black sesame seeds are entirely different nutritionally. They contain anthocyanins, the same family of pigments responsible for the vision-protecting reputation of blueberries, alongside substantial amounts of vitamin E, zinc, and potent antioxidant lignans. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Microbiology and Biotechnology by Park and colleagues found that anthocyanins, the exact class of compounds concentrated in black sesame seeds, appeared to support protection of human retinal pigment epithelial cells from oxidative damage in laboratory conditions, raising cell viability from 54% to approximately 86% under induced oxidative stress. That is a cell culture study, not a human clinical trial, but the mechanism is documented, and the protective association in retinal tissue is a meaningful finding. The preparation error? People eat them raw, sprinkled over salads. Raw black sesame seeds have a fibrous outer hull that your digestive system cannot fully break down. You're grinding them up in your mouth, but they are passing through your gut mostly intact. Grind them. A coffee grinder, 15 seconds. Ground black sesame mixed into warm water with a small amount of honey is the traditional preparation that has been used in East Asian medicine for centuries, and it is traditional because generations of practice suggested it improved how the body responds. Grinding ruptures the hull. The anthocyanins and antioxidants become bioavailable. 1 tablespoon of freshly ground black sesame seeds stirred into warm water every morning. That is the protocol. Simple, cheap, effective. If you're still here with me and finding this helpful, take a moment to type 5 in the comments. It lets me know you're watching and getting value from this. Seed number 4, pumpkin seeds, the gluten delivery system. Better than you think, slower than you want. If you have ever had a retinal scan and been told your macular pigment density is declining, pumpkin seeds are directly relevant to you. The macula, the central part of your retina responsible for sharp, detailed vision, is protected by 2 specific pigments, lutein and zeaxanthin. They act like internal sunglasses. They absorb harmful blue light before it can reach and damage the delicate photoreceptors underneath. After 60, macular pigment density drops. Blue light damage accumulates unchecked. And what does that look like in real life? Words becoming blurry in the center of your vision. Faces being easier to see in your peripheral view than when you look directly at them. Night driving getting progressively harder. Pumpkin seeds are one of the most concentrated plant sources of lutein and zeaxanthin available. But, and this is the same warning I give every patient, if you eat them from the bag raw or dry roasted at high heat, you are losing a significant portion of that benefit. The correct preparation: soak raw pumpkin seeds in water with a squeeze of lemon overnight. The citric acid breaks down phytic acid, the anti-nutrient that blocks mineral absorption. Then spread them flat and dry them in your oven at the lowest setting for about 2 hours. They will be dry, slightly crisp, and now nutritionally unlocked in a way the bag version never is. Results with lutein and zeaxanthin are slow. You will not feel a difference in a week. But at the 90-day mark, some research has shown associations with measurable improvements in macular pigment optical density in adults who consistently consume these compounds. Your retina may be receiving more of the nutritional support it needs to maintain that pigment layer. Seed number 3, ground flax seed, the tear film support seed. Overnight results for dry eye. Let me describe something a former patient of mine told me. She said, and I am paraphrasing, "Every morning I wake up and my eyes feel like sandpaper for the first 45 minutes. Then I put in drops, and by noon, they are back to sandpaper." If that sounds familiar, this seed is for you. Dry eye disease, the chronic progressive kind, is not a moisture problem. It is a lipid layer problem. Your tear film has 3 layers, and the outermost one is an oily lipid layer secreted by glands along your eyelid margins. When that lipid layer is thin or poorly composed, tears evaporate too fast. The surface of your eye dries out. Every blink feels like friction. Ground flaxseed is one of the richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, an omega-3 fatty acid. Your body converts into EPA and DHA, the 2 compounds your eyelid glands use to produce a healthy, stable lipid layer. A 2023 systematic review and meta-analysis published in Nutrients analyzed 19 randomized controlled trials covering more than 4,200 patients with dry eye disease. The findings consistently suggested that omega-3 fatty acid supplementation, the same type delivered by ground flaxseed, was associated with meaningful improvements in tear film stability, tear breakup time, Schirmer test scores, and overall dryness symptoms compared to placebo. Positive associations across nearly every measure tested, and unlike the macular effects of pumpkin seeds, dry eye relief from flaxseed often begins in 3 to 5 days, sometimes faster. Critical rules. First, grind whole flax seeds yourself right before eating. Pre-ground flax seed from the store has already oxidized. The omega-3 content has degraded significantly. You are buying a product that looks like medicine, but mostly is not anymore. Second, eat it with fat. Alpha-linolenic acid is fat-soluble. Without a fat present in the same meal, your body absorbs a fraction of what it could. Spread 2 tablespoons of freshly ground flaxseed over half an avocado or stir it into full-fat yogurt. The fat matters. Third, consistency is everything. Skip more than 2 days in a row, and your tear film stability begins declining again. Your body does not store these fatty acids for long. If this is something you're dealing with, try starting with properly ground flaxseed for a few days and see how your eyes respond. And tell me in the comments which seed from this list you're actually going to try first. I read them all. Seed number 2, hemp seeds, the anti-inflammation seed. The one nobody's talking about. Here is something that does not get discussed nearly enough in senior health circles. A significant portion of what we call age-related vision loss is not age. It is chronic low-grade inflammation that has been silently accumulating in ocular tissue for decades. And after 60, the body's ability to regulate that inflammation deteriorates sharply. Inflammatory damage in the retina disrupts the blood-retinal barrier. Inflammatory cytokines damage the delicate nerve fibers of the optic nerve. Inflammation in the trabecular meshwork, the eye's drainage system, contributes to elevated intraocular pressure. This is the often overlooked nutritional factor researchers believe may contribute to conditions like glaucoma progression, diabetic retinopathy, and the general visual fog that people attribute to just getting old. Hemp seeds contain something nutritionally unique, a naturally balanced 3.1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. That ratio is important because your body's inflammatory response is directly governed by the balance between these two fatty acid families. The modern Western diet pushes that ratio toward 15:1 or even 21 omega-6. That imbalance is pro-inflammatory at the cellular level. Hemp seeds bring that ratio back toward balance, and they do it through a specific fatty acid almost nobody talks about, gamma-linolenic acid, or GLA. Research published in the European Journal of Pharmacology has documented that GLA may inhibit pro-inflammatory eicosanoid pathways, specifically appearing to suppress the cytokines TNF-alpha and IL-6, which are the same inflammatory signals some research associates with retinal tissue stress and the progression of age-related macular changes. That is not a general anti-inflammatory claim. That is a targeted molecular mechanism researchers believe may influence the same inflammation pathway relevant to your retina. And unlike flaxseed, hemp seeds require absolutely no preparation. No grinding, no soaking, no grinder on your counter. 2 tablespoons sprinkled over yogurt, oatmeal, or a smoothie. They taste mild, almost nutty. Most people find them easy to enjoy. One important caution. If you are on blood-thinning medications like warfarin, speak to your doctor before adding hemp seeds regularly, as omega-3s can influence clotting times. For everyone else, this is one of the easiest, most underused additions to senior eye health available today. If you're still here with me and finding this helpful, take a moment to type 2 in the comments. It lets me know you're watching and getting value from this. Seed number 1. White sesame seeds, prepared the correct way. The sesame vitamin E amplification system, the one that works from the inside out. We have come full circle. I mentioned at the start of this video how the lens loses its ability to neutralize oxidative damage, how crystalline proteins begin cross-linking and clouding your vision at the structural level, and I told you sesame seeds had a unique mechanism for fighting this from the inside. Now let me give you the complete picture. White sesame seeds contain one of the highest concentrations of sesamin found in any common food. Sesamin is a lignan, a naturally occurring plant compound. And what it does inside your body is something most nutritionists have completely missed. Sen inhibits the liver enzyme cytochrome P450 that is responsible for breaking down gamma-tocopherol, which is the most biologically active form of vitamin E in your tissue. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition by Kamal Eldon and colleagues documented this mechanism directly. Sesame effectively extends the active lifespan of vitamin E inside your body by slowing its metabolic degradation. You are not just consuming vitamin E, you are keeping the vitamin E you already have working longer, and here is why that matters specifically for your lens. Vitamin E is the primary fat-soluble antioxidant your lens uses to neutralize lipid peroxidation, the chain reaction oxidative damage that causes crystalline proteins to cross-link and cloud your vision. A large body of published research, including the landmark Eyedrops, age-related eye disease study data, has established that higher serum vitamin E levels are associated with meaningfully lower rates of cataract progression in adults over 60. Sesame seeds are also one of the richest dietary sources of gamma-tocopherol, delivering both the vitamin E your lens needs and the sesame compound that extends its protective effect in tissue. No other common seed delivers this combination. Here's what that may mean nutritionally. When vitamin E activity is sustained and amplified in your ocular tissue, some research suggests it may help interrupt lipid peroxidation chain reactions before they accumulate the kind of damage associated with crystalline protein cross-linking. The lens may be getting more of the antioxidant environment associated with maintaining clarity, and in the early stages before changes have progressed significantly, some evidence suggests that sustained antioxidant support may create conditions more favorable to the lens's natural maintenance processes. But here is the preparation protocol that determines whether you get any of this benefit at all. Step 1. Toast raw white sesame seeds in a dry pan over medium heat for exactly 2 to 3 minutes, stirring constantly. You want them lightly golden, not brown. This breaks down the phytic acid coating and frees the amino acids for absorption. Step 2. Let them cool completely. Then grind half of them coarsely using a mortar and pestle or a grinder. Leave the other half whole. The mix of whole and ground delivers both slower and faster absorption rates. A staggered release into your system. Step 3. Eat 1 tablespoon of this blend every morning with a source of vitamin C. Fresh orange juice, sliced strawberries, half a kiwi. Here is why this matters biochemically. Vitamin C regenerates spent vitamin E molecules. After a vitamin E molecule neutralizes a free radical in your lens tissue, it becomes temporarily inactive. Vitamin C donates electrons to that spent molecule and reactivates it. So, 1 dose of vitamin E keeps cycling through its protective function for hours instead of being consumed in minutes. Sesame extends vitamin E's life. Vitamin C recharges it. Together, you have a self-renewing antioxidant system operating inside your lens tissue. This is the preparation method almost nobody uses, and it is why most people who have tried sesame seeds shrug and say they notice nothing. They were eating them wrong, completely wrong. 1 tablespoon of the toasted half-ground blend with vitamin C every morning. That is it. Results timeline will vary by individual. Some people report noticing changes in eye comfort, dryness, irritation within the first week or 2. Potential structural changes, if they occur at all, are a much longer process. 60 to 90 days of consistent daily use at minimum. Biology has a schedule. You cannot negotiate with it. Let me pull this together into something you can actually follow starting tomorrow morning. Every single morning, non-negotiable, 1 tablespoon of toasted half-ground white sesame seeds with a source of vitamin C, orange, kiwi, strawberries, or fresh squeezed lemon juice over your meal. This is your sesame and vitamin E protocol. This is the one you do not skip. 4 to 5 mornings per week. 2 tablespoons of freshly ground whole flaxseed over half an avocado, or stirred into full-fat yogurt. This is your tear film and dry eye protocol. Daily, any time of day, 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds over whatever you're already eating. Yogurt, oatmeal, a smoothie. This is your inflammation management protocol. 3 mornings per week, a small handful of properly soaked and oven-dried pumpkin seeds as a snack or topping. This is your macular pigment protocol. The mistakes that will quietly eliminate your results. Do not eat any of these seeds with coffee or black tea within 90 minutes. Tannins are anti-nutrients that bind to the minerals and amino acids in seeds and carry them through your system unabsorbed. You will be doing the work without getting the benefit. Do not buy pre-ground or pre-roasted versions from a store shelf. The omega-3s oxidize, the amino acids degrade, the phytic acid remains. You are getting the wrapper without the gift. Do not expect dramatic changes in a week and abandon the protocol when they do not arrive. Comfort-related changes, dryness, irritation may come relatively quickly. Nutritional support for structural lens health is a slow, cumulative process. 60 to 90 days minimum. Those are different biological processes on different timelines. Respect both and do not stop prescribed medications. This protocol works alongside your doctor's care, not instead of it. I want to close with something that I think matters more than any seed ranking or preparation technique. Your vision is not declining because you are broken. It is not declining because of genetics you cannot change, or some inevitable biological cliff you drove off when you turned 60. It may be declining in part because your eyes are getting less of the specific compounds that used to enter the human diet naturally. Compounds that existed in whole, minimally processed, traditionally prepared foods that your grandparents and great-grandparents simply ate. Not as a protocol, not as a health intervention, just as dinner. We processed the nutrition out of our food supply and then built a billion-dollar industry, selling it back to us one eye drop at a time. You deserve better information than that. And you deserve it before things get worse. Before the night-driving anxiety sets in, before you find yourself holding the menu at arm's length and pretending the light in the restaurant is just dim, here is my challenge to you. Write down your 3 biggest vision complaints right now. Tonight, before you go to sleep, the morning blur, the dry burning before noon, the halos around headlights, the struggle with small print. Rate each one from 0 to 10. Commit to the morning sesame protocol every day for 30 days. Add the flaxseed and hemp as described. At day 30, pull out that list and rate those same complaints again. I have watched this process work, not because I invented it, because I paid attention to the research that most people never read, and I had the time to put it together in a way that is actually usable. I think about a patient I worked with, 71 years old, retired school teacher. She told me she had not driven herself to dinner at night in almost 2 years, not because she could not legally drive, because the headlights coming at her had turned into something she described as white explosions. She was embarrassed to tell her family how bad it had gotten.